to At Home with Lucas. So today we're going to be talking about the Amazon Echo Dot 4th generation. Yes, people, this is a complete overhaul from their standard look. They've made a dome over the top. Supposedly they have better speakers, microphones, and a better ring light around the bottom. So in this video, we're gonna be doing a hands-on with the box. Then I'm gonna crack that bad boy open and take a look at the 4th gen Echo Dot and give my first impressions. After that, I'm gonna put this thing to the At Home with Lucas test. This Echo will live in my kids' room. Then we're gonna figure out, is this something you should buy, something you should upgrade from your 3rd generation, or maybe something you should skip and wait for the 5th generation? All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, let's take a look at this bad boy right quick. So you get the Echo Dot with clock, 2 different languages right there. There's an image of what's to come. That thing looks very, very cool. You got the "She shall not be spoken in my house" Echo name. Do not want to activate my device. All right, so you have a little bit more information on what is going on. Yes, you can turn on and off the microphone. That is very, very cool. Here's a little bit more of what's in the box. I love the way this looks on the back. That is very, very cool. Good job, Amazon. Once again, you have 2 different languages, Espanol and French. Very nice. There's the clock sitting in a very cozy looking bedroom. All right, so you got this, it just continues on. It's kind of like repeating itself over and over and over again. I love the fact that they have a pull tab. As a reviewer, I often have to pull my knife out to cut things, so this is very cool that I don't have to do a cut scene and bring my knife out. So here we go. Satisfying. All right, let's get into this review, people. Oh, nice. Look at that. Very simple, but that's very cool. I like that a lot. I always tell people, or at least I don't tell people, but I always, during the review, say, add something to the inside of the box. It just makes it that much better. Very simple. You download the app and you plug it in. Very straightforward. Good job. And the packaging is nonetheless great. They always do a good job at Amazon. Here is the power brick right chair. This is a 10 watt. It's a 15 watt. It's got the proprietary port right there, which if you have any of the other Echo devices, this is basically the same exact charging port. So that's cool. They're kind of creating their own ecosystem. I wish at some point they would go to USB-C, but they may push back and say we need the wattage. USB-C is not all the same, so they can't do that. So this is nice for now. All right. Typically this is at the top. That's funny that it's at the bottom. They're kind of like, yeah, open up the most important stuff and then read the hello, hola, bonjour. Hola? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Hola. All right, so you got the information that you should read, but these things are very straightforward, so I don't know if it's going to be that important. Let's go ahead and take a look at the creme de la creme, people. All right. All right, so right off the bat, this blue is definitely a nice look. I didn't realize it covered this much of the back. That's very interesting. The way they show this in the imagery, I guess it's like this. You don't realize the whole back is half plastic. Wow, that is very, very interesting. Yeah, because the old Echo Dot was a 360 speaker, so it'd blast out 360, so you could set it on a half wall or set it on something that was going to send out audio 360 to the whole room. This one is saying, we get it, you put this up against a wall, you put it on a shelf, there's no reason to blast audio straight out the back. So that's a little bit of a departure from their standard way, but nonetheless, let's get into this. All right, up at the top, you have the buttons. They're almost not clicky at all, and very mushy. So that's not very satisfying, but they're so raised that you know, even in the dark, you're gonna know that's the plus and that's the minus. So that's really cool. I like that a lot, but I wish it was a little bit more clicky. This button seems to be the most clicky. Yeah, so that's interesting. All right, so And that is that directly on the top? No. Very interesting. This is the middle of the top right here. And then these are actually below it. Very interesting. Of course, I'll figure out the button layout when I actually use it and it's sitting on my kid's shelf. Then I'll be able to know if these are in a great placement or not. Right now, they seem a little bit odd that they are in the back half. That's very interesting. Of course, they'll push back and say, we want you to look at this right here and not this up here. So this is the standard come to know mesh. It feels very soft and very cool. This is very, very hard plastic, not very textured. It's actually not textured at all. It's very smooth. Does it feel cheap? A smidge. I'm gonna say it's just a little bit cheaper than I would have liked, but nonetheless, it's not gonna break. These things are definitely going to be grabbed and thrown around by toddlers and kids thinking that they're able to just toss them around. Of course, I keep everything up high so my little toddler cannot get to things like this. But nonetheless, you can pull a cord and it can rip the whole thing off. All right, let's take a look at the back. Very simple. You have your power port and you have your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack right there. So you can send out audio from this to another device. So that's very cool. You can, of course, Bluetooth this to a bigger speaker, a sound bar, something awesome, and send voice commands to this to send it to your big speaker. That's a really fun thing to do. Looks like this is the indicator light down here, which is also a departure from the third generation dot, which was up top. So that's very interesting. I like the images I'm seeing where it shines down like on the desk and it illuminates down and it makes this thing kind of look really cool. Of course, we will find out all of that. Of course, also if you're putting it up against a wall, it's not really going to do a 360. So that is funny how it's still a 360, yet the speaker is not designed to sit in the middle of a half wall and blast into 360. So that is very, very interesting that the ring on the bottom is still like that. So, all right, so first impressions, it's not very heavy. The material feels good. It feels very, very solid. It actually feels exactly like maybe like a softball or something. That is very, very solid. It has a decent weight on the bottom, but it also feels quite top heavy, which could be a problem. Like I said, if a toddler pulls on the cable, this thing, well, I take it back. No, I take it back. It does not move very easily at all. So that's very cool. Yeah, so coming up, we are going to put this to the test with sound quality and functionality. Also, I don't really know where the microphones are on this thing. I'm guessing they're built into here somewhere. So I'm hoping that the microphones are better on this. Not to say the third gen microphones were bad. They had 4 solid microphone ports on the top. I've never had a problem with it a day in my life. But that would be interesting to see how far away you can get from this thing for it to activate and whether it was very accurate at, you know, whisper or whatever. So coming up, we're going to fully put this thing to the test. First impressions, though, I think it's great. I think it's almost a 5-star device just as is, and it looks kind of cool. I mean, it'll take some time to get used to see if it's actually really ugly or if it's really cool looking. So, all right, let's get into this. All right, here is my Kids Echo Dot 3rd generation. Here is some indicator light button pressing right here, just so you can get an understanding of the brightness and whatnot. I will actually be using that same exact cable. That's something that's really cool. If you have your cable all wired up perfectly and you're buying a new one, you literally just unplug it and then plug in your new one. So they use the same exact power. Boom. That is so awesome. All right, now we are going to be doing a side-by-side comparison, a head-to-head, if you will, of the 3rd gen and the 4th gen, just so I can sort of document the button pressing and all that. So you can really see here how the buttons are like right in your face on the 3rd gen. And on the 4th gen, they are kind of tucked back, they're smaller, and they're less, it's almost like Amazon saying the buttons are less important on the 4th gen versus the 3rd gen. And there are the microphones there. On the 4th gen, I have no idea where the microphones are. And this is where it's really interesting, the comparison. The back, I don't think there's a speaker directly in the back. So when I was saying the speaker is not a 360 on this one versus the other one, I think the 3rd gen is also not a 360 speaker, but that's a little very quick head-to-head comparison of size and look and everything. So that's basically what you're going to be upgrading if you go from the 3rd to the 4th. All right, so powering this bad boy up, you notice right away that the LED indicator light is a little bit brighter, and it looks like the footprint on there is a little bit smaller, which is kind of nice. It takes up less of a footprint, but then it also means you have a little bit less grip at the bottom. So that's something to take note of. If you're listening to heavy bass, it may lose a little bit of grip and fall off. I am not 100% sure. I doubt that would actually happen, but okay, so here we go. We're getting in the setup process. The setup process was completely seamless. Absolutely love the way the Echo's set up. It's so simple, so intuitive. You just open your app and it tells you you got a new device. You go through the setup process with the Wi-Fi. It says hello in multiple different languages, which is really cool. This thing is a global device and everyone loves it. So big thumbs up on the initial thought of the display. This is the first time I've ever seen it right here, and it looks very premium. It looks very bright and very clear to read. So big thumbs up on that. The only thing after using it for a while, I would hope that they would figure out how to put more information on that display. They seem to have time and a few other things, and that's it. I wouldn't mind having, maybe a notification go across that says your package is on its way or something, All right, so the time is synced. The device is ready to go. And the first thing I'm noticing is this thing cannot just sit anywhere on this shelf. It has to point straight out, which means that the plug has to go all the way against the wall, and that is a big problem. That is very annoying, and if this shelf was any smaller, it would not fit at all. This shelf is medium size. It's not even a large shelf, but I'm not going to say it's the biggest one. And the way I had my other Echo set up, I could just put it anywhere. It's a circle. It doesn't matter if it's pointing straight out. But this one, you have horrible viewing angles if you do not have it set up perfectly. So take that into consideration when you're buying this thing or looking at it. You have to make sure that you're putting it somewhere where the clock is going to point straight out and the wire in the back is going to be able to work. The viewing angles on the top and the bottom is way better than the top. The top, you can actually lose the whole clock if you go too far above it. And then obviously, as I'm going here, too far to the left, you're going to lose it. All right, so let's talk about the size. This thing is actually a lot longer. So it's a circle, but it has that cable that sticks out of the back, and that takes up about 1.5 inches. So you have to take that into consideration if you want this flush against the wall. If you're trying to do that, you're going to have to buy a wall mount. Whereas this one, you could just turn it a little bit and it would fit perfectly flush against the wall. But because the clock's here, you can't do that. You can't turn it a little bit to the right or the left. Otherwise, you will completely lose the visibility of said clock. So take that into consideration. This is the biggest downfall of this clock. It needs to be 3 times as large, and I think it needs to be up a little bit higher on the circle. But other than that, it is very, very nice to have the time while I'm changing my kids' diapers. Yes, I was very annoyed. Thumbs down. All right, so I asked the weather to my Echo and it showed me the 76 degrees Fahrenheit. This is very cool, and this is what I was talking about a minute ago, how it can do a couple things, but I wish it would do a lot more. I wish you would say, 7-day forecast on there. Okay, so the ring light at the bottom is definitely brighter than before, and that is very, very cool. That is something that you look for when you're controlling your Echo, and I like that a lot. Also, it has the ability to do multiple different colors for different things. So the ring light at the bottom is definitely a big thumbs up, and I like it a lot more than at the top. All right, so all you have to do is tell your Echo display off, and boom, the clock goes completely off. And then you say display on, and boom, the clock goes back on. Love, love, love that feature. So try that at home. Hey, what's up guys? I want to talk about a sponsor that I have for this channel, Don Pablo Coffee. Yes, people, Don Pablo makes an amazing variety of coffee. I actually went down to Miami, Florida and modeled for his bourbon infused coffee. Yes, people, they have bourbon infused coffee. This is coffee for the people who don't even like to drink coffee. This is coffee for people who love to drink coffee but are bored of the normal coffees. They have single serve bourbon infused coffee. They have whole bean bourbon infused coffee, not to mention all the other varieties they have. They are a small batch coffee roaster. Now you're probably thinking, what does that mean? What does it mean? I'm going to tell you. A small batch means you're going to get a fresher bean. Yes, people, everything they roast is roasted smaller, which means you're getting a fresher batch. All the other companies roast in ginormous roasting contraptions, and that means you're getting it less of a fresh batch. So click the link down below, go buy some amazing coffee, and let's get back to the video. All right, so I've been using this thing for long enough that I pretty much have a good understanding of all the pros and cons of this bad boy. Right off the bat, the very first thing that is a big con is the viewing angle of this clock. So if you're buying this thing for a clock mainly and you're putting it on a shelf like I did, the viewing angle is not perfect. I wish it was a lot bigger and maybe more up at the top area, but nonetheless, it does its job. And one really good thing about this that I don't think is being advertised is the fact that this has an light sensor on it. So it actually can sense the light in the room, and it will dim the clock, and it will also dim the ring notification at the bottom, which is really, really cool. I did not realize that for about a week or two of using it, where I found that when the room was dark, this actually got dimmer. So big thumbs up on that. Sound quality is good. It's not blowing me away. It's not anything too special, but it does its job. The microphones are definitely better on this. I find that I can talk softer and it just picks up my voice as you would want it to. So that's very cool. The ability to turn on and off the clock. So if you're sensitive to light, big thumbs up. That's huge. I wish it did a little bit more on the front. Maybe it had an ability to show the weather or something. That would be really cool because it can show the weather. So if you ask what the weather is, it'll show a little indicator of the weather. So being that this is the first gen new look for this, I would say that the 5th gen, I know I just said 1st gen and then 5th gen, but the Echo Dot 5th gen I think is going to be really, really cool. So that should be coming out in 2022. So I would say definitely look forward to that if you don't like the fact that the viewing angle is not very good. The speakers are good enough, but not blowing me away by any means. The button placement, I didn't really have to use the buttons. I do a lot of voice, so I would do volume up, volume down, and stuff like that. So all in all, I'm going to say that this is a solid 4.5-star device. I'm going to say that it's almost a 5-star device. If they fix the viewing angle, Even if they just extended the clock out a little bit more, you'd probably be able to see it better. So that was one thing I did not know going in, was how small this actually is. So 4.5 solid stars. This thing is very beefy. It's amazing. I love the fact that you can communicate to these devices from your other devices. So if you're in the living room, you can tell the kids' room to turn rain sound on, rain sound off. You can tell it to turn the display on, display off. So you can do a lot of things throughout your house without having to actually be in the room. So one Echo will communicate to another, and that is a huge thumbs up. Let's see, is there anything else that I'm missing? Yeah, so also I think that this being a sphere is a little bit of a downfall. I think that it should be shrunk in a little bit more and maybe keep like a similar look on the top, but not be as big. I think being that it is a sphere, it becomes sort of odd when it goes to sit on a shelf. If your shelf is not big enough, it's going to not be able to fit, especially when you factor in this cable sticking out. Really, you have a full sphere plus this cable right here, so that's a lot of distance from your wall to the front of it. Now, if you're putting this on your nightstand, it also, as you can see, if you're looking down at it, so if your nightstand's lower than your bed, then you're not going to be able to see that clock. I mean, of course, if it's at a distance. So viewing angle of the clock, not so great. The length of this whole thing, also not so great. If they could figure out a way to make this cable like completely bend flat right here, that would be really cool. Also, if they could figure out a way to change the shape. I know they like the fact that it's a ball. They think that's really cool. And if you ever owned the Echo, what was it? It was literally a circle. This is basically modeled after that one, where it had a circle display. All right, so wrapping it up, 4.5 stars, very solid. You're not going to be disappointed. Buy this thing as a gift, give it to people, throw them in your garage, your bedroom, you know, put them all over your house, because the more you have, the merrier. Yeah, they're a good device. You're not going to be disappointed. It's not the best on the market, and it's going to get better. All right, there you go. That's the Amazon Echo 4th Gen. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely click that like button. If you want to join the At Home with Lucas family and you want to be a part of this crew, hit that subscribe button. Every time I get a subscriber, I get a boost to make more and more videos, and it's because of you guys I surpassed 2K. Yes, people, on my way to 3K, but I need your help. Yes, you right there. Tell your social media, tell your friends, tell your family, this guy's on YouTube. They should go subscribe and watch my channel. But as always, I thank you for watching each and every one of my videos, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.